This is straightforward drawn from the bill that has been proposed to the parliament. I have, of course, disregarded the lovely statement made by ministers and the prime minister, because finally the parliamentary delimitation will take place not on the basis of statements given by parliamentary affairs minister. It will be based on the constitutional amendment that's passed. And allow me to make a submission which is different from what everyone is saying. South India will lose, this state will lose, BJP will benefit. For me, these are not the considerations.
Mr. Yogendra Yadav, just want to understand, so it is your fear based on a cursory glance or a detailed, not cursory, but detailed glance of these proposed amendments, that you say that a former basis of or a previous basis of census used for delimitation is not going to be used, and a latest version, the latest available version 2011 is going to be used. Hello and welcome. You're watching me, Sanket Upadhyay, on TheFederal. The show is called AI with Sanket. This is the AI of news, because news in India today requires not artificial but analytical intelligence. In a bold move, the centre government proposed certain constitutional amendments. These amendments would, the government claimed, give reservation to women. Now, this is something nobody has an objection to. Of course, there was a lot being said about it being brought in just before the elections to impact the results in the elections in West Bengal and other states. However, in its proposed amendment, the central government proposed that the number of seats in the Lok Sabha be increased from 543 to 850. A more than 50% jump. Now, this was being seen as an effort where increased number of seats will be tied into women's reservation. That draft was read and studied by a lot of people, and during their cursory glance and then eventually a very detailed inspection, some people, and particularly some political parties from the South, saw that the point which becomes the basis for a delimitation exercise, 1970 were, that year is missing, which could perhaps lead to a situation where the South may not get proportional representation of increase in the number of seats when this delimitation exercise takes place. One such person was Mr. Yogendra Yadav. He went on record and he felt that this is not just anti-South or against the South Indian states, but he goes a step further to say that this could be a deliberate political ploy to increase the proportion of seats in states where the BJP has greater play. Is that really the case? What exactly is on the mind of Mr. Yogendra Yadav, and why does he believe in all these things? Why does he think that this move is less to do with women empowerment and more to do with BJP's politics? We speak to Mr. Yogendra Yadav in this exclusive interview. Joining us right now is Mr. Yogendra Yadav, who has written extensively on this new amendment which the government has proposed. And I'm measuring my words right now. These are amendments, a constitutional amendment which the government has proposed. It has not sailed through. But what is the proposal and what does it mean for the South Indian states? Yogendra Yadav has done a lot of calculation. Thank you very much, Mr. Yadav, for joining us. Would you like to tell our viewers, particularly viewers in the South Indian states, that is this a delimitation exercise by the back door?
Sanket, I would say this is a delimitation exercise from the front door. What is hidden about it? What is backdoor about it? I've been saying for some time that all this talk about women's empowerment, Nari Shakti Bandhan, all this is a Trojan horse, that actually what the government wants to do is to rush through delimitation exercise before the Lok Sabha election of 2029, because because it feels somewhat insecure and it feels that unless it manages to do the tinkering that it wants, it may not come back to power. That is the essence of it. So, number one, it is not about women's reservation. Women's reservation is a very minor aspect of it. And if the government was serious about women's reservation, it could have simply done a one line amendment in the constitution and women's reservation would have happened in 2029. You don't need a census for that. You don't need delimitation for that. It's a one line affair. No, but that's not what it is about. It is about delimitation. And more than delimitation, it is about changing the character of India's parliament, changing the balance of India's parliament. The second thing to be remembered is that the government has been saying for the last 3, 4 weeks, because these days we learn everything from sources, that don't worry, yes, we are going to increase the parliament to 800, but there's no need to worry because every state will go up proportionately. The parliamentary affairs minister is on record saying so. The prime minister has said it. The home minister has said it. Everyone said it. Why are you creating a shindy about it? Of course, everyone's share will be increased by 50%. But let me say it absolutely clearly to you, Sanket. This constitutional amendment says nothing of that kind. All the assurances that have been made do not get reflected in this particular bill. In fact, it makes a provision exactly to the contrary. What was the fear of many states in India? And it's not merely South. Uh, the fear of many states in India was that if parliamentary seats allocation takes place in proportion to current population, then their political representation will go down. The government said, no, we will not do anything of this kind. But the Constitution Amendment Bill absolutely clearly in black and white says that the new reallocation in the delimitation, the reallocation of seats will take place as per the population of the census to be decided by the government through a law. So, which is that census? Is it 1971? No, because there is another law which the government has proposed yesterday, which is the delimitation bill. What does that bill says? This bill says that when the delimitation commission is formed, maybe in a month's time, in a few weeks' time, the latest census figures available to that delimitation commission, which in this case would mean 2011, because those are the figures available, that shall be the basis for allocation of seats in the parliament, in the Lok Sabha. So I don't know where is this talk about 50% coming from. I was just on another show where a very reputed anchor was very proudly, correctly, sincerely displaying all these figures that Kerala would go from 20 to 30, Tamil Nadu will go from 39 to 59. All this is of no use. This is simply false. The correct big picture would be, as I'm showing you here, this is what I had tweeted last night. No one has disputed these figures so far. And your viewers may not be able to see it, but the yellow figures, all the states in the yellow, are the states which would lose,
Yeah, Mr. Yadav,
whose
just
number
for
of
your
seats will be
convenience,
proportionately reduced. Yes,
just for your convenience, whatever you are showing in the form of graphics are now appearing on screen. We've borrowed this
lovely,
from your,
grateful,
yeah. So
grateful. Thank
you
you.
can address whatever
So
you want to.
let me now say, so which are the losers? And when I say losers, please remember, when you increase the size of the parliament from 543 to 850, of course, every state's seats will increase. That's not the point. The point is, given the share that they had, the percentage they had, the proportion they had, are they going up? Are they going down? Take Tamil Nadu. If Tamil Nadu was to get the proportionate increase, then its seat should go up from 39 to 59 to actually 61. It should go up. What would it get? 50. So while on the face of it, it looks as if Tamil Nadu has gained 11 seats, actually Tamil Nadu has lost 11 seats because its share should have been 61. Take Kerala, currently 20 seats. If proportionate increase had taken place, Kerala's numbers should have become 31, not 30, because the increase is not 50%, it's actually 55%. People forget it. Parliament is being increased from 543 to 850, which is a 56% increase. So Kerala should have gone from 20 to 31. But what would actually happen? Their share will be 23. Notionally, you would feel, oh, from 20, we've gone to 23. No, sir. You've actually lost 8 seats. Andhra Pradesh loses 5 seats, Odisha loses 4 seats, Telangana loses 3 seats, Bengal loses 3 seats, Karnataka loses 2 seats, Punjab loses 1 seat. Sanket, do you see a political pattern in it? You are a political analyst.
Yeah.
All those who are losing, these are not just South India. Punjab is not South India. Odisha is not South India. Bengal is not South India. But all these are states about which BJP feels somewhat uncertain. BJP is doing well in some of those states, hopes to do well, but cannot be entire. These are iffy states for BJP. And which are the gainers? What are the states where the seats numbers will increase? Assam, Gujarat, Haryana, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, Delhi, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh. Do you see a pattern in that? Well, that really is the politics of it. So this is not about women's reservation. This is about BJP's reservation. This is an insurance policy for the BJP. Wherever BJP is strong, the size of that state will increase. Wherever BJP is vulnerable and iffy, the total kitty of that state will go down. That is what it is all about.
And the reason why you say this, Mr. Yogendra Yadav, is because of a clause in these amendments proposed that the basis will not be the 1971 census but the 2011 census, and that leads to the change, because during this period we saw that the South Indian states or some other states in this country were far more disciplined on family planning as opposed to, say, some North Indian states. So the reflection of the population in 2011 will not be the same as 1971.
Yeah, so let's forget the discipline part of it, because I actually don't quite take that argument about family planning and so on, and that these are needless arguments. I don't think those regions or communities which have had more population should be punished, because the evidence shows that it's only the poor and the less educated. So having more population is not a crime. This is a curse to the poor people. So for me, that's not an important argument. The important argument, but yes, I draw this table is not my own creation. This is straightforward drawn from the bill that has been proposed to the parliament. I have, of course, disregarded the lovely statement made by ministers and the prime minister, because finally the parliamentary delimitation will take place, not on the basis of statements given by parliamentary affairs minister. It will be based on the constitution amendment that's passed. So I'm using the language of the amendment, which clearly removes any reference to 1971. Freeze has been removed. Every single reference in 6 or 7 places in the constitution has been removed. The limit of 2026 has also been removed. The limit that you cannot do fresh delimitation unless the census data from 2026 is public has also been removed. And all this has been substituted by the census as provided for by parliament by law, which means to say, as decided by the government, who enjoys a simple majority. Till now, the opposition has a veto because it's a constitutional matter, and constitutional amendment requires a 2/3 majority, and the opposition has more than 1/3 members in the parliament. So opposition has a veto on this question. The constitution amendment is to remove that veto. And once that is removed, then the government can tomorrow decide 2011, which is what it has provided for in the delimitation bill. The word 2011 is not written there. What it says is the latest census available to the delimitation commission when it is formed. But Sanket, once it is removed from the constitution, then tomorrow the government can replace it by saying not 2011, but 2027. In which case the losses of South India and East Indian states will multiply substantially. So that is what I'm basing it on. And allow me to make a submission which is different from what everyone is saying. South India will lose, this state will lose, BJP will benefit. For me, these are not the considerations. As an Indian, what should be our principal consideration? I'm interested in the unity and integrity of this country. For me, what happens in 2029 is not all that important. What happens in 2079 is equally important. If I'm a true patriot, if I want unity and integrity of this country, then I would look at next 50 years. I would probably look at the next 100 years. And I will not do anything which can sow seeds of alienation in this country. And if changes in the representation structure are such that a very significant part of our country feels a sense of alienation, then I, as an Indian, no matter where I'm born, I, as an Indian, should be concerned about it. This country already has three cleavages: regional cleavage, linguistic regional cleavage of North South, linguistic cleavage of Hindi speakers and non Hindi speakers, and now an economic cleavage of economically well off states and economically not so well off states. Unfortunately, all these three cleavages tend to more or less coincide. Not exactly coincide, but they more or less coincide. Now, if you have read any comparative political science, if you have read any comparative constitution, if you have understood comparative democracy, every scholar alerts you and says cleavages which overlap with each other are very dangerous things. Cleavages that cut across each other is not a problem. But when they coincide, that's not good news for national unity. Therefore, I would urge the BJP, I would urge the Prime Minister, I would urge the current dispensation. Please do not introduce one more cleavage in this country, which can be a challenge for long-term unity and integrity, just for the sake of winning 2029 elections.
But Mr. Yogendra Yadav, just want to understand. So it is your fear based on a cursory glance or a detailed, not cursory, but detailed glance of these proposed amendments that you say that a former basis of or a previous basis of census used for delimitation is not going to be used, and a latest version, the latest available version 2011, is going to be used. The point is that the government is very specific, not the document. To be fair, I haven't read these documents completely, but in statements the government says that it is going to be proportionally increasing by 50%. And nowhere in the document do we claim that that is not going to happen.
Sanket, to those who are, again, this is source based journalism. Anyone who says so, please bring them on camera and ask them to hold the copy of the Constitution Amendment Bill. It's not a small thing, it's not some rule being tweaked, it's the Constitution of India being changed. Please ask them okay, exactly show me where exactly is this written. This is a lovely assurance, and I must believe you if you want to promise me a dinner tonight. But can I believe you about the future for the next 100 years of this country when you are not writing in the law? If this is what you wanted, I'll give you an example. This constitutional amendment has a provision to ensure that in the northeastern states, the tribal population, tribal representation does not go down below what it is right now. So there is a clear understanding, absolutely written. For example, in the case of these tribal states, this is the language you use if you want to give a protection. It says such number of seats as bears to the total number of seats, a proportion not less than the number of members belonging to scheduled tribe in the existing assembly, bears to the total number of seats in the existing assembly. This is the technical language you use if you want to give that assurance. So the provision that I read in legalese simply means that the proportion of scheduled tribe after delimitation cannot be lower than what it is in the existing assembly. This is assurance given in a legal language. You tell me, not only is there no such assurance, but actually there is a clear provision to the contrary. The provision now goes back to Article 81 of the Constitution. Article 81, which absolutely clearly says, Article 81, clause, here I have the Constitution with me, Article 81, clause 2, subclause A and B, which clearly provide for interstate and intrastate allocation of seats based on population. That shall be the only consideration. On that, there was a provision which said, however, after 1971, this will not be applied. For 25 years, that exception prevailed. After 25 years, Atal Bihari Vajpayee government said, okay, we'll relax this exception in the case of intrastate delimitation. So Rajasthan will have 25 seats. But if Jaipur seat has become too big, you can make it a little smaller. You can draw the boundaries afresh. But the intrastates can be changed. Interstate allocation will not change. This was Atal Bihari Vajpayee's formula. What is Mr. Modi's formula? Mr. Modi's formula now written in absolutely black and white. Sanket, it is not a question of my reading or interpretation. It's plain English. It's written here. Please show me the word 1971 in this particular constitution amendment. Please show me anything which actually provides this assurance. Now, BJP, master of deceit as they are saying, but we have not said 1971 will not be used. No, sir, you don't have to say that because 1971 was an exception. The moment you remove the exception, the rule comes to play. So you don't have to say 1971 shall not be used because the rule was every 10 years you will deem to delimitation. An exception was introduced in 1975. That exception was extended in 2001. You have removed that exception. After that, you don't need to say anything. Parliamentary seat shall be allocated in proportion to the population figures from the census. The only thing this particular amendment says is that which census, this will be determined by law by the parliament. And they also have proposed a law which determines it, which says the latest census. So where is the scope for ambiguity? The only way, if those sources who are saying all these lovely things to the media, I will tell them, my only request to them would be, all right, you seem to have made a mistake. So why don't you bring an amendment to your own amendment? Because there's no other way of actually keeping that promise. You have breaking that promise. You were caught breaking that promise. You were trying to be over smart, over clever. All right, amend it. Tomorrow come and bring an addendum. Say to the parliament, sorry, we made a mistake in drafting the law. Sorry, we were caught, but now we are correcting it. Correct it. But before that, please don't give me sermons.
My final question, Mr. Yogendra Yadav, you see a special session being called and this being presented as doing justice to women of this country and, of course, an exercise of increasing the number of seats. All of it, at least on the face of it, appears to be an important step in the right direction. You seem to suggest that the manner in which it is being done is problematic. Now, what can be done so that the cause, the original cause, remains, yet we are fair to all?
Sanket, I'm saying not just the right thing is being done, but the problem is problematic. The manner is problematic. I'm saying the right thing is not being done. I'm saying this government is deliberately trying to once again block women's reservation by tying it with other things. Please remember, in 2023, the parliament had by unanimity passed the women's reservation bill. Please remember, the opposition then had demanded, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, the leader of opposition, had demanded that it should be implemented from 2024. Who had prevented it? The person who now says it cannot be delayed, Mr. Narendra Modi. His government inserted two clauses in it, which were absolutely unnecessary. The parliament was saying, yes, we want to give 1/3 seats to women. But the government said, yes, we will do it, but only after the next census, only after the next delimitation. Why do you need census to give 1/3 seats to women? Are you unsure that there are less than one third women in this country? What are you waiting for? These were deliberate obstructions that were put in order to ensure that we can be seen to be giving seats to women while we don't need to. And once again, Sanket, this is exactly the dirty game being played. Once again, women's reservation is being used as a shield for for a very sinister objective. If the government is serious about women's reservation, Sanket, all we need is a one line constitution amendment. Article 3341 of the Constitution. Article 334 provides for women's reservation in Parliament. And clause 1 says it will happen after delimitation and census. Just remove those clauses. That's all you need to do. From 2029, you don't need a census, you don't need delimitation. Women's reservation will apply. What is the problem? Why don't you do it? They don't want to do it. That's what I'm saying.
I get it. All right, Mr. Yogendra Yadav, thank you so much for your time. Let's just hope there is. I mean, we have already started seeing political reactions, particularly in the south. Let's just see what happens in the parliament session. Thank you so much, Mr. Yogendra Yadav.